All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is the sales drive home. It is the final sales drive home of the month. Good or bad? What do y'all think? Guess that depends on how you did, right? You're like, no, give me one more day. Or you're like, no, make it stop. Don't carry it over. And by the way, boys and girls, it looks like we are about 2 minutes away from hitting some, boom, heavy rain. So audio's gonna suck, but last day of the month, how'd it go? We've been talking all week. You know, you had 30 days to make it happen. Did you make it happen? So let's talk about that. You know what? It's the end of the month, and that's the beautiful thing about this gig, right? Is that good news, bad news, doesn't matter, because tomorrow everything starts again. So if you had a killer month, rock on. If you had a horrible month, rock on. Clear it out of your brain, move on. And sometimes, you know what we think about? We think about a month, right? We think about all month. We think about, oh, this month. But if you got momentum, if you caught fire this last week, then that should translate over, right? Because you got things popping. And if you jumped out to an early lead at the beginning of the month and kind of limped to the finish line, man, you got to get hopping right away. You got to start grinding on it right now. Right now. Tonight, you need to start grinding on this month. Because, you know, we track these things in months, but really it's all about, it's about trends, and those trends aren't monthly trends. If you're looking at a month, and depending on your situation or where you are, your position, but if you're waiting for the month and you're tracking months, man, that don't work. You got to track days, you got to track hours. What's the trend right now? Because once that happens, once you start trending down, you got to fix it. And if you're just looking at numbers, you're looking at metrics, and you know, we've talked about the analytics, the Google Analytics, we've talked about all that stuff. It's all the same, man. It's just across the board. You got to be tracking that stuff all the time. And so, you know, again, depending on your situation, if you're a manager of one person, then you need to track yourself internally. If you're a manager of more than one person, then you need to be tracking everybody. If you're a manager of multiple departments, you got to track those departments. Everybody needs to know they're on the same page. So rolling into the month, it's not a surprise that, man, we popped it out last month. Yeah, but you did 80% of your business the first 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks you sucked. And guess what? You're going to start this month and you're going to suck. You got to stay on those numbers. You got to stay on that tracking all the time, every day. Dang, it is like a windstorm, dust storm, tornado I'm driving into. But I ain't going to stop. This ain't going to stop me. We are going to push on. It is, you wouldn't even believe it. It's unbelievable what's going on outside right now. It's like, anyway, listen. So what I thought that we could talk about is, you know, we can talk about that. We can talk about, you got to track in segments. You can't just track a month. You even can't just track every 2 weeks. You got to be tracking everything all the time. And so one of the things that I was going to share with y'all, if I don't blow off the road here, was you got to break it down. Here, I think I can do this. Look, see this? So that form right there really takes performance, and it's based on a sales department, but you can break it down to salespeople. You can break it down to an individual person. You can break it down to a whole department. But what it does is it says, look, these are what our minimums need to be. So if I've got 10 salespeople in my sales floor, so if I'm telling salespeople that they need to be making 50 phone calls a day, then how many phone calls do I need to be making every day as a sales department? I need to add them up, right? So if I've got 10 salespeople, let's say it's a Monday, everybody's there. I need to log 500 calls that day. Tuesday, a couple people are off, so I need to log 400 calls that day. And the way you do that is you break this sheet down. You take this sheet, and everybody gives you one of these sheets by the end of the day. And what it says is, yes, I made 50 phone calls today. I set 2 appointments. I've had 1 appointment show up each day. Because if you can track that, and then I also had on there, one of my lines is, how many people did we B2B? How many people did we get belly to belly with about a deal? How many people did we actually stand in front of and talk to? Because that's really what it's all about, right? The phone calls, the appointments, the emails, all of that stuff is all leading to how many people do I get B2B, belly to belly? Because that's where it happens. That's where your sales happen. So if you had a bad month this month in July, it's all right, shake it off, move on, but you need to start right now. You need to make a commitment that says, look, I'm going to make X amount of phone calls and send X amount of emails and send to X amount of text messages every day. And I don't care if my sales manager makes me do it. I don't care if my general manager makes me do it. I'm going to do it. I'm just busy trying to not drive off the road here. All right. So if you make that commitment right now and you say, look, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this many phone calls. I'm going to make this many appointments. I'm going to make this many appointments that show up, and you just drill through it. Boom, boom, boom. This is what I'm going to do every day. Then if you continue on that and you're relentless, I mean, it doesn't matter. So if the store is closing up and you've still got 20 phone calls to make, brother, tell whoever's trying to lock the door early, listen, I got 20 phone calls I got to make. Or get on your mobile CRM and, okay, I'm going to make my phone calls regardless. Don't let anybody stand in your way. It's hard. And I admit, as a salesperson, was that always me? No. If I could slip out early and go do something else, I would do that early on in my career. But then after a while it clicks, right? It says, wait a minute, what am I doing? I'm busting out early, I'm sneaking out, I'm doing whatever, but I ain't selling no cars. Well, why am I just hanging out here? Why am I just, 10, 15 cars, ain't selling cars? To be uber successful, that doesn't mean that you're driving people around town for a living. To be super successful, this is what you got to do. You got to write it down. You got to make a commitment. I commit to do this every day. So, good news. You had a great month this month. Great. You are back at zero. What are you going to do to follow it up with? Well, a couple of things that I was also thinking about that we should talk about. So, we talk about constantly contacting your customers, right? And starting that from the very beginning, from the very inception of your relationship, always following up with your customers, making phone calls, calling people back, doing all of that stuff. But how do you really set yourself apart? There's a bunch of simple, small ways. And, at the end of the day, if you want to be super successful, sometimes some of these things that you need to do, or that you should do, or that you could do to set yourself apart from everybody else is it may cost a few dollars, not a bunch of money. And when you're first starting off in sales, it's like, man, this is your first sales job, and oh man, I ain't got no money. Okay, I bet that if you go to your sales manager or your general manager or whoever and say, hey, can I get some envelopes and some paper, and can I mail some things to some people, I'm pretty sure they're going to say yes. So it don't have to cost you a bunch of money to do anything. The only it costs you is the discipline. It costs you the time. It costs you the commitment to do it. So you're just starting out. You got no money. You're broke. This is your first month. You're hoping to make a paycheck. Everybody that you meet, you know what you do? You write them a freaking letter. Guess what? People still get the mail. I know it's old school, but you send them an email, and especially if you send them an email out of your dealership's CRM, how many of those actually get through to people? I mean, so much of that mail hits the spam filter that you can't say that they got that email. This is getting pretty ridiculous, isn't it? I'm gonna keep talking, but I don't think you can hear me. So, write letters. Man, grab some paper and an envelope and get a pen and write it out. Hey, thanks for talking to me today about a car. I want to earn your business. You know, I don't have a card yet, but here's my number. Send them an email too. Send them a text message. And it doesn't have to be all serious. Send them a picture of you in front of a car saying, this should be your car. As you get more successful, as you start to accumulate more customers, you continue to do that. But when you can afford it, if somebody buys a car from me, let's say that you're selling 30 cars a month, all right? And I want you guys to think back to things that you have bought in the past couple of years. And I mean big things where people know your name. Not going to the store and, you know, not going to Best Buy and buying a whatever. So let's say that real estate agents, mortgage brokers, some insurance agents, you know, are fairly decent at sending stuff to customers that have purchased with them. Cards, thank yous, whatever. But how many other things have you bought where somebody actually took the time to send you a thank you card? So you've been writing out letters, right, to people? And if you, the second month after you get your first commission check, go buy a box of thank you cards. And especially now, when everything's done online, when, you know, when somebody gets a card from you in the mail that says, hey, thanks for your purchase, really appreciate it, and go crazy. Give them a $10 Starbucks card. Everybody likes Starbucks, right? Well, when they have white chocolate mocha. But everybody likes Starbucks. Man, when you start making a little money, invest it back. Because if you do that, handwritten thank you note, a little Starbucks gift card, and if you want to go digital on it, go digital on it. That's fine. You know, you want to send them a $10 Amazon gift certificate, or you want to send them a iTunes card or something like that, that's fine. But I think to really be different, I think you should go old school. Man, thanks for your purchase, really appreciate it. Hey, have a coffee on me. Boom. So if you sell 40 cars next month, what's that cost you? 400 bucks? I bet it's worth every dollar. I bet it's worth every dollar. I bet your ROI on that, return on investment, I bet your return on investment makes it worth it. Now, you may not like some of the people you sell to, and you may be sitting there going, I don't like this dude, I don't want to buy him coffee. Okay, he still spent money with you. Who cares if you like him? He still bought from you. Send him a freaking gift card. Send him a thank you card. You know, there are a lot of ways to continuously follow up with your customers. Some customers you may actually, I mean, yeah, you might be friends with them. Maybe you become friends with them. Maybe all of the, hang on, there's a big pile of water in the road. There you go. Didn't want to, oh, like that guy, end up off the road. Wow. That was exciting. Guy hydroplaned, apparently. But he was okay. He was standing by his truck fine. So, what I'm saying is this. You got to think about these things. Just because you had a great month last month doesn't mean you're going to have a great month this month unless you start continuously cultivating and fertilizing and plowing up and weeding and just continue loving on those customers. They bought from you. They spent money with you. Some of them spent, you know, someone might have spent $100,000 with you. $100,000. We talk about real estate agents and insurance agents and mortgage brokers being pretty good at doing that kind of follow-up. You know, at least saying, hey, thanks for the purchase or thanks for whatever. And we've got people spending almost as much money as somebody buying a house, and we can hardly remember their name. You ever get to the end of selling a car and go, the next day somebody says, hey, you need to call Tommy Jones and get this whatever, and you're like, Tommy Jones, who's that? The guy you sold the car to yesterday. And then we wonder, well, 2 years later when Tommy Jones comes back to the dealership to buy another car and he don't ask for you, how come? You didn't even remember his name the day after you sold him the car. You never called him, you never followed up, you ain't done nothing. Tommy ain't calling you, you ain't his salesperson. So we talked all the way through the rain. That was awesome. So listen, good month, bad month, it's okay, it's over, it's done. If you had a good month, great. If you had a bad month, great. Don't worry about it, move on. But either way, start right now, start tonight. Let's set up April. Let's set up April. It kind of feels like that, right? It feels like April, May, June, July is... Anyway, let's set up August. Let's have a great August. I really want this to work. I mean, I want you guys to email me. I actually got a couple of emails. I'm gonna keep a couple of emails in the email box, and then we'll go over them. But if you've got questions, let me help. If I need some help, let me connect with you guys so we can reach out and do this together. So anyway, my name's Dennis. Email me, dennis@thesalesdrive.com. Dennis@thesalesdrive.com. And this has been the Sales Drive Home last day of the month edition. Thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate it. And we will see you mañana. Peace.